Welcome everyone to 92nd Street Y Talks premiere event, Stars American Gods. My name is Katie Burt and I am an editor at denofgeek.com. I'm very excited today to talk with the cast of American Gods about season 3. Let me introduce them to you. Playing the one and only Shadow Moon, we have Ricky Whittle. Hello, Ricky.
Hi.
Next up, we have executive producer and Mr. Wednesday actor, Ian McShane. Playing Laura Moon, who I am worried about after the season 3 premiere episode, we have Emily Browning.
Hi.
Never worry about Emily.
Yeah, she has a way of bouncing back. In the role of Bilquis, we have Yetide Badaki. Hello.
Hi.
Next up, we have Bruce Langley, aka Tech Boy.
Hello.
Playing Salim, we have Omid Abtahi.
Hi.
And finally, a new addition to the cast, we have Ashley Reyes in the role of Cordelia.
Hello.
In her first premiere, might I add.
Happy New Year, you all, by the way. Sorry.
A very glamorous first premiere.
Scout. Yes.
I know, I'm very
Actually,
glad.
get your dog out of the shop.
I'm trying. She's chewing up the blanket next to me.
Dog guests are encouraged, I think. So if anyone has any other pets.
American dogs. There you go.
So Ricky, I wanted to start with you because in this season premiere episode, we really see Shadow trying to take control of his own life in a way that he hasn't been able to before. And I'm just curious what it's been like for you to explore that more like self-determined aspect of his character and how much of that sense of control over his own life is an illusion.
Well, I think all life's a crazy illusion in one way or another. But this is something I've been planning with Shadow Moon from the very start. You know, we're obviously doing Neil Gaiman's adaptation, so I know the ending. But you know, we've been able to kind of evolve the book in many ways to include these incredible characters that you have in front of you here, who are very sporadic in the book. But with Shadow Moon, I know where he's going to end up or where I would like him to be at the end of this story, and I kind of had to play the journey backwards. And so the risk for me was at the beginning by playing someone who was so broken and empty and void of emotion and feelings with the loss of his mother at 15, and then his the seeming love of his life in Laura Moon, his wife. That was all he had left. So when we first meet him, he's completely empty. So it was a hard balancing act to kind of just create a character that, yes, was broken and damaged, but that you cared about enough to stay with that journey. And then in season 2, I was able to add a little bit more of the frustration and the anger as he starts to realize that this world is full of gods, but Wednesday won't answer any of his questions. So we kind of had this kind of great chemistry where Shadow and Wednesday kind of this kind of buddy road trip, and then the stakes just get incredibly high when he starts to find out that there are gods in the world. And then season 3 has been kind of where I'm able to kind of add a little humor and a little bit more fun. And like you say, the power struggle has kind of shifted, that where I've realized that Wednesday maybe needs Shadow more than Shadow needs him. And so for the first time in the show, you'll find Shadow on his own amongst humans instead of being the only human amongst gods. So finally, he's the one in the room that seems to know a lot more. And you find this kind of petulant teenager in Shadow who just doesn't want to speak to dad. He's slamming the phone down. He's shutting the door because this guy could have been there his whole life and made it so much better. You know, he doesn't work at the local bowling alley. He's Odin. You know, he could have made his life great. And so, you know, I think that's what makes it relate to a lot of people at home, that even though we're talking fantasy, sci-fi, and gods, it's a very relatable issue. And so you can kind of understand Shadow's kind of behavior and how it's going to evolve this season between Shadow and Wednesday.
Yeah, I was surprised how much of that premiere conversation between Shadow and Wednesday was about the father, like, abandonment thing versus just like all the stuff that they've been through together in the last few years.
Massive abandonment issues. He's got nothing. And then he finds out his dad was there the whole time. You know, it's a big deal. And
I've been trying to tell you for 2 seasons.
there has been some foreshadowing.
Is old. One thing you can't say is the Shadow ain't exactly quick on the uptake sometimes.
I did want to ask you, Ian, about that scene because in it, you know, Wednesday is giving the old war between the old and new gods pitch yet again to Shadow. And during it, you know, he claims to want to save humanity. And I'm curious if you think there's any truth to that, or if you think he's completely a character driven by self-interest.
He'll say anything.
Yeah. So completely
He will say
self-interest.
anything.
Throw him.
He will say anything to make, I mean, a good thing. And he says it quite believable. I hope I do sometimes. But I mean, he will say anything to whatever. But you know, the Shadow needs, I mean, this is why I'm glad we broke out, as Ricky said before, you know, from the, you know, in the car again. Oh, it's you again in the car, you know, whatever. Oh, it's us again. Here we go again, chat. Jack, will you stop asking me fucking questions about what? Please, just try and know who you are in this world. Well, will you please? I mean, it's like we did have. I'm funny as it was and important. I think it's time we got away from that, and that's what we tried to do in series 2: is set the scene so. And finally, he gets to Lakeside, which is an important part of the book. You know, I also like the way they've got, you know, Emily in this. And the other characters. Don't forget, it's very difficult. It is true we're doing the book, and as Ricky said, but all the time, and people who love this book, and there are, you know, thank God there are millions who do, and read it. I read it late when they offered me the gig for the TV show, and I've come to love it. But it's a blueprint. We always said that, because there's nothing, technology for the last 20 years is not in the book. It's hinted at, but that's what's been brought to the fore because it's part of what the book talks about, the new God, the new way of the worlds. So I mean, there's much more powerful, and the way they've changed it this year with, you know, the gods going in and out, concentrating on stories. It'll be interesting to see the way people react to it, because of course there'll be, you know, all those people who think they own the book. They didn't write it, but it's my book. I discovered it.
There's every kind of fan.
Which, you know, that's a great thing, and Neil is great at that, making people feel as if, yeah, you understand my book, and that's why he's, you know, he's remained part of this.
Mm-hmm.
But Ricky, it's time for him to spread his wings as the character, you know, and then be brought back again or whatever. But we do the book pretty much, don't we, Rick? Don't we? I mean, we do the
Yeah, very much so. I mean,
we finished the book in this, which could mean anything. I'm not giving anything away there.
No, I mean, it's Lakeside. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite part of the book. And in the book, Shadow goes to Lakeside, and Wednesday checks in on him, and that's very, very much what we're going to be doing this season. But
they give me a new offer. They give me a new, lovely Ashley, which is good.
They just
you know, they thought she was ordinary. I said, you know, she thinks she's ordinary, but obviously everything is pre-planned. So she is not. You know, the character Cordelia is something else, apart from having the great name too. You know.
Well, Ashley, can you tell us about Cordelia? Because, you know, there's so few human characters on the show, and feels important and exciting that there's another human character to see this world through.
Yeah, I mean, through Cordelia, we see the humanity through a bunch of the different characters. We see Wednesday interacting with a human in a way that we haven't seen him sort of interact with other characters before. There's kind of a softer side, a more protective side. And with Shadow as well, also another kind of protective buddy sort of side. And she does represent where technology is going on Earth, not just within the gods. She's where things are at currently. She doesn't have powers. She can't do extraordinary things as far as she knows. And so she is the grounded one throughout everything. She's not emotionally attached to anyone quite yet. As you know, where we are in the season early on, she's not attached emotionally. We just see things as they are through her lens. And that's Cordelia. She's just a badass, bumbling along sort of gal.
Yeah, I didn't know how much I wanted another audience surrogate who's coming new to this world until I saw her show up. So it's been exciting to watch the first few episodes and see where that goes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Emily, you appear to disintegrate into ash in this episode, but judging by the season 3 trailer, and the fact that you're here, I'm assuming that this is not the end of Laura Moon's story. Yeah, can you tease a little bit about what her journey will look like this year?
I feel like any discussion about Laura, I've been thinking about this all day, like any discussion about her is kind of like a labyrinth of spoilers. Yes, I mean, I did. So we can talk about the fact everyone's just watched the episode, right? So we can talk about the fact that I do disintegrate into dust at the end. I come
Well,
back.
I am curious. I am curious about her motivations in this episode, because obviously she said time and time again that her goal is to get revenge on Wednesday and kill him. But it's also suggested that she does care about Sweeney. And I feel like there's interpretation for that, obviously, like in previous seasons, but in this episode too. So yeah, like how do you see her motivation in that scene where she finally gives him back the coin willingly?
Yeah, well, I think that, I think it's tricky to talk about those kind of emotions when it comes to Laura. Like talking about her vulnerability is kind of difficult. But yeah, I think Sweeney is someone that she kind of didn't realize she cared about until it was too late. And I think the fact, because of what happens to Sweeney, I think that she's even more determined to get revenge on Wednesday because, Sweeney sort of went down fighting against Wednesday. So I think that kind of just propels her more. And she's kind of just more intensely on that kind of war path, I think.
And she was already pretty intensely on that war path.
Yeah.
So very focused.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think she's also internally more focused in season 3, but because she doesn't have Sweeney, who is essentially like her, he's kind of her only way into this world of gods, really, other than Shadow. And Shadow's kind of understandably not, super stoked to be hanging out with Laura all the time. So,
We've got issues.
We have some issues. We work them out.
We should talk.
This season, though.
We should talk this season.
Nice Shadow and Laura moments. But yeah, because she doesn't have Sweeney, it's like this. She is even more determined to get revenge on Wednesday, but she now is like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know how to get around in this world. I don't have any access to these god things. So it just makes for a lot more, just a lot of good Laura Moon frustration and anger.
I'm excited. Yetide, we see Bilquis in this episode, in the season 3 premiere, kind of doing everything she can to stay out of the war, which I find highly relatable. But Tech Boy points out that she isn't as neutral as she likes to believe or pretend. And I'm curious what you can tease about her journey in season 3, and if she's going to be forced to maybe make more of a choice when it comes to this war that's still brewing.
Right, this constant thing that they keep trying to pull her into. As far as the journey and how it's changed, we saw her in season 1. She was just trying to survive. Season 2, she starts to thrive, and this season she actually really starts to find her drive. And it's interesting you mentioned Tech Boy bringing up some points, but very much in a way where he's going to do whatever he can to convince her to move over to his side. Now, it's interesting that all these gods, they tend to find, they tend to be really puzzled by her because they don't understand her motivations. They, things like power, money, all of that don't matter to her. There are things that she does really care about. She does really care about connection. She does really care actually about these worshipers. And she does really care about trying to communicate. And you see her doing that with Technical Boy in this first episode. She's really trying to let him know what she's experiencing. And to the point where we see her, what I call Spec, which is a super-powered empathy conductor, really trying to convey, what it is that she's working through here. And we find her in this episode pretty much walled in by different expectations, by different labels, by someone like Technical Boy coming to, collect payment on what he thinks he deserves as well. And as far as, without any major spoilers, where she makes a decision, it doesn't necessarily have to benefit either of these sides, but she does make quite the decision, quite the discovery, as you see every character doing as they learn a little more about themselves.
Cool. Bruce, there seems to be a little bit more room for humor in this season, and I feel like that's especially reflected in your character in these first few episodes. We see it with Shadow, as Rick, you mentioned before too, but I'm just curious for you, if you would agree with that, and also, if so, what it's been like to play some more of those comedic beats, because I was really enjoying them in the first episode.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would agree. I think a large part of that is because you get to see Tech Boy without a lot of his backup and without a lot of his toys. And I think the reason that stuff is funny is, what is comedy if not laughing at someone's pain? So yeah, no, we do get to see a lot of that. And there are some lovely pairings. I'm not sure how many episodes you've seen, but there are some lovely pairings throughout the season where we get to see Tech Boy in various situations that are very painful, but hey, we've spent 2 seasons watching him turn up, ruin someone's day, and then go like this as he walks into the sunset. So yeah, it's kind of satisfying. It's also a lot of fun. He learns a lot about himself along that journey through necessity. In short, it's been a real giggle. I won't say who I'm playing with, but it has been fun.
Well, it's definitely reflected in the finished product as well. So something to look forward to for people who are excited about the rest of the season. Omid, sadly, we don't get to see Salim in this first episode. But yeah, I'd just like to hear maybe what he's up to when we first see him, because he's such just listening to everyone talk about their characters, so many of them will just say whatever they want or whatever they can to get people to do what they want. And Salim just feels like such an outlier in that regard. Mm-hmm. Like, he just says what he feels and what he thinks, what is true for him. And it's such an important role on the show where that's such a quality, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So this season, no pun intended, but he's when we see Salim for the first time, he's had the rug pulled out from underneath him. And this, I know, right? I got more.
A rug is what you're calling it.
Yeah, right. Oh. So basically, the jinn delivers this. Leaves this letter for Salim saying that it's not working out and Salim should go on with his life, and that's heartbreaking. It's disorientating. Salim is very much a mess. So he starts on this journey to find the jinn again, and not so much that he did, he respects how the jinn feels, I think, but like he wants the jinn to say it to his face, show me some respect. So that's basically the beginning of Salim's journey, and he links up with another fellow cast member. I wish I could say, and it really
say it.
It's with Laura, and we go on a road trip together, and they're able to reflect off each other and grow and help each other grow, and really this journey of Salim this season is so complete, and it's so beautiful. And where he starts and where he ends is completely, again, no pun intended, but on the other side of the rainbow.
Oh, you really did have more.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I haven't used the whole genie, whole new world thing, but yeah, there you go.
Just keep them coming.
Yeah, right.
There's been a lot of much needed talk, I think, in the past few years about the need for diversity behind the camera in addition to in front of it. Mm-hmm. And I know I'd seen you, Ricky, talking in another interview about getting to go into the writer's room. And I was just curious if you could talk about, what the writer's room looks like this year and what your experiences were like, being at least some part of that process.
An absolute joy to see how the other side works, literally. Chick Kegley came in, and you can ask all the rest of the guys. He asked them, about their voice. What do they think? How are their characters feeling at this moment in time before he's moving forward? And, he worked with everyone and their ideas about pushing the we over the I. And that also applied to the creative process. We see at the moment a lot of people posting these black squares and having a lot to say and backing people here and there. It's a lot of talk, not very much action. Nothing really gets done until action starts to move forward. And And what Chick was able to do was facilitate that change behind the camera by introducing an incredible writing room that I saw firsthand develop a storyline that, you know, kind of arcs through season 3 into a season 4, so that everyone was involved, everyone was heard, everyone was represented. You know, the writing room was roughly 10% cisgendered straight white male. The rest were Black, Latina, biracial, LGBTQ, native, formerly incarcerated, because he wanted as many voices as possible to speak their truths. And, you know, we've always had incredible writers who can write fantastic things. You know, we started off with, you know, with Brian and Michael writing incredible speeches for all of us. But it's nice to see that change actually happening in the creative, and people's voices actually being heard and people's truths to make it authentic. And what I saw as when they developed that is, as an actor in TV, it's very tough because one minute I'll be having this wonderful relationship with Laura, then I find out she's my sister, and then I find out she had an affair with Omid, and all this kind of craziness. It's completely fluid and all over. Movies, you know your start, your middle, and your end. And what they were able to do with us in this season, with Chick and Neil getting together for a lot longer in the preseason, was develop these story arcs and where this story's going and how we're going to finish this book. And so for me, it just felt great as an actor to know my beginning. Well, I know my beginning, but my middle and my end, so that I can arc my character of where I want to go and how I want to play it, to hit those various kind of levels to stimulate, you know, responses from an audience. You know, you want to be remembered one way or another, and when you're given that much time to project your character, it's nice for us as actors to be able to have that kind of prep. So this was a very efficient season. It was nice to kind of see forward and see the future and how it's going to look, and it just allowed me that freedom to kind of play in the moment in Lakeside with a lot of characters that I've not worked with yet fully. You know, we've got this great chemistry with Ian from day one, on off camera, which has translated on camera. And, you know, Wednesday and Shadow in the Car cracks me up. Season 1, 2, season 3, the dynamic between these two is just so much more fun because we've got that kind of chemistry. And now you start to see it with all these other characters that I get to interact with, that I've just had the pleasure of just watching for now. And so I now get to sit opposite and work with, you know, everyone on this screen as well. So, you know, there's some funny moments with Bruce. One of my favorite episodes is with literally everyone on screen here this season. So it's a lot of fun this season, and you see a lot of new dynamics, a lot of kind of things happening, but at the same time, we're following the book, and Lakeside's my favorite part of the book, so it didn't disappoint. I got to play in Lakeside with a lot of our new characters as well, in Leela Lauren, Chad Mulligan, that's his name, Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson plays Chad Mulligan, and then obviously Julia Sweeney. You know, there's a lot of new cast coming in to kind of fill out my favorite part of the book, and it was a lot of fun on both sides, kind of getting to play with my friends and family here today, and then those that joined us for this season.
Yeah, the show in the past has been such a road show, as all of you have said, I'm sure at various points in interviews. So to have, you know, this stable small town setting in this season really has given it a different feel. It's been exciting to watch. I did, you know, people talk about television as a writer's medium, and there is this aspect of bringing in new directors, you know, from episode to episode often. And this season, I think you have maybe all new directors coming in. And I was just curious if any of them, for whatever reason, were, like standouts to you, or you have certain memories of working with some of them that you'd like to share.
Yeah, British director on episode 9.
Mm.
Actually, he's Turkish. Cypriot,
Oh,
wonderful. But he had a very committed attitude to the show, and I just found him the episode difficult one. Emily's got a lot to do. Emily's got a lot to do that. Didn't you like him, Emily? Thought he was very, you know, he's really like, he treated it like he came on the show as a new show for him. And he wanted to get as much out of it and talk about it. And he was like, he Proper director. Yeah, he was great. He was
Yeah,
good.
really
He's
got
great.
it. Yeah, for sure.
Which one was that? Sorry.
Episode 9, and
Episode
I'm
9.
blanking because I don't remember anything.
The
From
names have gone. I mean, I've got
Met-
no
do you mean
names,
Metin?
Well,
Yes, my
no, we
God.
had another English guy. No, the names have just gone because we have so many. We are
We
so
do.
diverse, darling. We are so diverse, we can't even remember the names of the ladies or gentlemen. Who
We
might-
try and get so many different people of various backgrounds through the doors that it
Yeah.
just
I mean,
becomes one.
to be fair, it's been a while too, and a lot has happened in the world since you filmed this.
No,
There's
yeah, it
No,
sure
it
has.
has,
hasn't
but
it?
I think I agree. For me, I found a real great challenge with Metin. When a director comes into an established show, it's kind of welcoming someone into your house, and these are my rules on the wall, and this is what we do. This is what time dinner is. This is when you take the trash out, and you know they're just kind of there for the visual, and they kind of give you some advice and stuff. But you when you've done 3 years in a show, you kind of think it's okay. I kind of got it. Metin really challenged me and put me outside of my comfort zone, and would
Yeah,
say,
good.
Ricky, what about this? If you were thinking this, don't you think that? And I'd be like, I have never thought about that in my life. Genius. I'm doing it and I'm taking credit. So I'm officially not taking credit for that episode, but Metin really did put me through the ringer.
Yeah.
And challenged me as an actor to not sit in my comfort zone. So in scenes where I'd have an instinct to go one way and to say things and do things a certain way, he would flip it upside down and have me moving or have me sat still or put something in my head to play with and think about whilst I perform the scene. And for me, that was just great fun. That was me just back in the playground again, just learning. You know, that's what this job and career is. There's always someone who can teach you more, you know, from Ian, who I've just watched and just stolen all his just genius and greatness for 3 seasons, to Ashley, who came in fresh as a daisy, and I'm watching her blow people off the screen. She's fantastic. So you're always learning. And yeah, for me, Metin really did challenge me as a director.
I'm excited to watch that episode. You know, we mentioned that this season was written and filmed before, you know, obviously the pandemic started. And yeah, I don't know, as a critic and reporter, I've talked to a lot of different like creators and cast about how the thing that they're releasing into this world was made in like a very different world. And I'm just curious if you feel like the season is going to maybe hit differently than you thought it would when you were filming it because of what's going on, all of the things that are going on right now. Yeah, that's a big question.
What do you think, Teets?
You mean how
You want to ask me
people
about-
react to it, the situation, or what? I didn't
Yeah.
understand the question.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many different things. I'm speaking very broadly about like, because there's the pandemic of it all, where a lot of people are at home and not going out and seeing people, and I think that's changed how they engage with the stories that they're watching and their own, like, their relationship with stories in general, when like you're not getting a lot of that human contact. But I also think, you know, this is a show about the fight for the soul of America, and in some ways it feels less dramatic than what is happening in real life. And I don't know if that's affected how you feel about the show.
I just feel like the show has been able to put a light on America, and all the various kind of diversity that we have in the show is mirrored in the country. Right now, I feel it's the first time America's actually genuinely looked in the mirror and seen itself. It's always been there. It's just kind of caught on camera now. So you need to pay attention to your reflection and own that history. Because until we own our history, we can't move forward. You know, the show literally features people from all over the world, different backgrounds, sexual orientation, and as I said before, it's about the we. You know, this show is really pushing the we, and we're not taking sides. We're not saying this person's a good guy, this person's a bad guy, because I'm a good guy and I'm a bad guy. That person's a good guy and a bad guy. You know, we all have our moments. And this show is a fantastic kind of tool for just shining the light on the beauty of everyone out there, you know, whatever their faith beliefs, nationality, you know, gender, age, all this kind of stuff. And I feel America right now is is really struggling. I think Ian said it in episode 1, season 1, that America's the only country in the world that doesn't know what it is. You know, that's literally one of Ian's very first speeches, episode 1, and America's still learning that. And all it's doing is looking in the mirror for the first time, and it's nice to see. I mean, it needed to be done, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then now we can approach a solution and hopefully heal.
Yeah. And oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt there. No, please, you go ahead.
Go, Teeds, go.
Okay. No, I do think that is a wonderful question in regards to when we were filming something and then finding ourselves in this completely unexpected, craziest of timelines, this whole different space with the pandemic and all of the different layers of everything that's going on right now. But what was interesting is the fact that we really dug into these self-discovery journeys in this season, where we see each character. We see Laura Moon, we see Shadow, we see Wednesday, we see Salim, we see Cordelia. Each individual is really trying to figure out who they are. They're going on these continued journeys of self-discovery. And we find ourselves in this pandemic because we can't travel outward anymore. We're all traveling inward. So everyone feels globally is going on this similar kind of journey. And we're also dealing a lot with, and we, you know, obviously we didn't realize that while we were filming. And it just the genius of Neil and his prescience in all his ideas. But we also deal a lot with the ideas of isolation. We see characters literally isolated, not spoiling how or who. And in that, being forced deeper and deeper within themselves, deeper into their histories, deeper into their DNA, where their actual ancestors literally reside. And it's been fascinating to see it all unfold in real time right now, and to see globally this self-discovery journey.
I also think I think I'm going to maybe get in trouble for saying this, and it's not going to be as eloquent as anything that Yutide just said, but we also do there is a moment in this season where I mean, I don't want to give it away completely, but we explore the idea of purgatory a little bit, which I think might hit a little differently now that we're all in purgatory, essentially. So that could be kind of relevant to the moment. I hadn't thought about that until you asked the question just then, and I feel like I'm going to get sued because I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I said it. So,
well, also, I think this is probably a question that, you know, none of us can answer. It's going to be the response from the fans who are watching, and we'll all see what that looks like, you know, once the season starts airing, which, yes, we're actually recording this before the first episode, but all of you will have seen the first episode at this point.
Yeah, but you know, this is one of those shows that everybody, you know, everybody believes they discovered the book, who read the book. And everybody believes the first season was overpraised, the second season was weirdly underpraised, and the third season, who the hell knows what you're going to think of it? And that's part of the charm of the show, I've always thought. I've always thought the show, really, could people argue about whatever, and then we had all the, you know, last year with the showrunner thing, and then the drop pieces from all the scurrilous gossip from the reporter and whatever, reporting things that didn't, well, some things happened, but not in the order they said, and then about people dropping out, whatever. So the show has always had this kind of weird backdrop to it, being loved and like saying, oh, it's not like the first season. Well, I thought the first season, you know, a lot of it, some of it didn't work, some of it did, like everything. But, you know, you've got to look at it that way. It's just television, and you're trying to make something of a great book, not please everybody all the time. You can't do that. You have to do certain things. And they've been done. And I think it's going to the feedback, whatever. It'll be fascinating to see the reaction to the show this year from people who think they know the show. Excuse me, I must do my lips. It's getting very chapped.
Well, speaking of the fans of the show, we do
Speaking of
have
chapped
some.
lips.
No, it
Speaking
is.
of
It's
chapped-
fascinating, though. I mean, people who are fantastic, are fanatic about shows or
Mhm.
things like think they know the show better than you do in the end. They do, which is great for them. You
Yeah.
know, fine, carry on. That's
I
not-
think loving a story, it can be such an intimate experience for people. You know, they're
absolutely
reading a
like
book.
with
Yes.
Deadwood or with Surprise. Everybody has their own, you know, what you'd want to see it happen. But look at the reaction of like, you know, show shouldn't have ended that way, whatever, or they should have done this, or like you think, well, I'm glad you're that passionate about it. You know, I'm glad you are, which is great. But people get that
Yes.
involved, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this has been very, I mean, for this period of pandemic, I mean, listen, if you're lucky enough and privileged enough to live where I do, it hasn't exactly been a difficulty living at the beach and being whatever. And, you know, it's trying to, and also as an actor, you kind of practice with this all your life. 5 months in a hotel room, I can do that standing on my head, you know, without talking to anybody. Thank God, you know, I don't have to talk to you. Jesus. Got the internet, got television. I can talk and get fascinated by shows and whatever. And I think, yeah, but it's, you know, sometimes it's like, it's so nice to see you. I've been so lonely for so long. So nice to see you. But it's a weird time. There's no saying it isn't. It's a weird time. But these past few years have been weird. I mean, the upcast of social media, which now has such an enormous effect on everything. I don't go on it because it's too late for that shit. I can't, you know, can't be doing with it. But the people that enjoy it and banter in it, God bless you, have a good time. But it has now become a huge part of entertainment, which is, you know, the business has changed and continues to, and will continue to do all the time. And we'll get going when we get into virtual reality. This would be a great virtual reality show, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Wouldn't
Be
it?
a little
Would be really- no, it
scary.
would really be. There you go, stars. There you go.
There you go. Season
Fremantle.
4, virtual
VR.
reality.
VR.
There
That
are
would be
some
really
really
great.
positive. There are some really healthy parts of the, you know, fan storytellers relationship, I think. And we did get some fan questions from people on social media. So I'm going to ask you some of those. So first we have from @TC_Stark. Who is your favorite new character in season 3? And don't feel too much pressure because Ashley's here.
Maybe new character.
Cordelia,
Favorite
right?
new
New
character.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
so there you go. Unanimous. Everyone says
Ashley,
that.
of course.
It's a unanimous
The gorgeous
answer. Thank
Ashley.
you all.
Absolutely, Ashley. Got to be Ashley. Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, that's actually genuine. You know, you worked with her the most.
No, if
Ian.
Blythe was here, I'd say Blythe, but Blythe is not here.
Good answer. Good answer. Who are some of the other new characters? If you can't choose Ashley/Cordelia, who else is?
I had a lot of fun in Lakeside. So big love to, like I said, Eric Johnson, who I knew from Smallville. I didn't say hi. I was like, I loved you in Smallville. Leela Lauren is a new introduction as Marguerite, who gives off some serious Sarah Connor vibes. She's a badass mama bear in Lakeside, and is fantastic. And then Julia Sweeney, who I don't think needs any scripts because she is hilarious and an absolute joy. She's an absolute sweetie, and you know, some of my best acting was to just not break, like to just try and keep a
Julia
straight
Sweeney.
face.
Julia Sweeney playing Hinzelman.
Yeah.
And you who have read the book, that'll be a surprise. Won't it? Yeah.
So we have another question from @BookNerdGirl101. This is a question for Ian and Ricky. What's your favorite thing about Wednesday and Shadow's relationship?
When I drive away in the car.
When he leaves me in the car. No, I'll tell you, my favorite thing is when we're about to roll and we're about to say action, Ian gives off this, oh, I'm British royalty. I'm a well-renowned actor around the world. This guy cracks a joke. I start laughing. I look unprofessional when we shout action because I can't hold my shit together. He's
all
always stitching
Ian's
me
fault.
up, always winding me up and pranking me on camera, so I look unprofessional. I'm saying it now, Ian. I'm saying it.
It's on the Edwards13 asks, what was everyone's favorite costume to work in, make, create, or wear? And they said, I love the looks from the trailer and would love to know more about the process. I feel like Bruce has some has some looks on this
He's
show.
Mr. Fashion, yeah.
Oh, no, certainly do. Yeah, no, I kind of win with costumes. I really lucked out. There is one piece that I can't really go into because it's kind of a spoiler. There was a piece that is slightly out of line with what I usually wear this season, and I kind of enjoyed that one because it was a nice little throwback. In past seasons, like in season 2, my suit that I wore back in the Vaudeville Club with Wednesday, that was actually Eric Peterson's former suit that he wore in theatre 20 or 30 years previously. He played the caretaker in season 2. So I got to go to him and say, your name is still in this shirt from 30 years ago. So that was pretty cool. I get some amazing stuff. No complaints from me. Tech Boy still looks dope.
Are you guys how involved are you in that process? Because you have a costume department who probably does most of that stuff. Is it just like going in for fittings or what does that look like? Yeah. Basic
Well,
stuff.
I mean, we had to talk this year about what Wednesday, but because you couldn't have them come in looking back the same again. So we decided to have him come in back looking like he'd been touring the American South, the beaches down there, looking for a bit of Bible thumping and other thumping. So Wednesday came back, but he gets rid of that look quick. It's like, but the clothes, you've got to make them. No, they're just part of whatever. I mean, that opening look, and then you get rid of it quick, otherwise it becomes something else. And the costume should, sort of reflect where it is without going over the top. I mean, look at, the best dressed person in the show is Emily. I mean, you look at, that. Emily looks great. What, the floral dress and a pair of boots, the best outfit I've ever seen. That's really great picking. It's like saying, you pick something and you use it. You use it for the character.
Well,
Very important.
I need those boots to be Laura too.
Yeah.
There was a point this season where they wanted to get rid of the boots, and I was like,
I bet you did. Yeah, no.
Be her unless I'm clumping around in those giant boots. I need to find a way to keep them. So, yeah, it's important.
It's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Salim is sweater, right?
Same goes with Salim's sweater. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Jinn having, ditch Salim. Salim carries this sweater with him wherever he goes because
the ball gown in episode 4 is a bit much, but
What's that?
The ball gown in episode.
There you go.
4
Yeah,
is a bit
just
much.
a little bit. But it's symbolic and it definitely it plays at the end of the season. This sweater and what it means to Salim and what it means to I can't say anything. Go. Okay. Yeah. Hi.
I love the sweater.
Yeah.
At Alex AB189 says, I'm so excited you're returning. My question is, what have been some of your favorite moments on set this season? Is there anything looking back that stands out?
Ashley driving. Tell me about you driving, Ashley.
Oh, don't you dare. I would say in episode 1, now that you've all seen it, it was my first day on a set, ever. And I was trying to get into the car, trying to get back in, I was looking all cool. And I couldn't get back in because I was so nervous. And so I kept trying to jump up into the seat, and I'm very short and the car is very tall. So I kept trying to jump into it and I kept missing the chair. And at the end of the day, Ricky was like, are you okay? Are you hurt? And I went home and I had a big bruise on my leg because I tried so hard so many times to get back into this chair. And I sent him a picture of my bruise because I just couldn't get into the car.
When a puppy can't get on the sofa.
You were like, yes, I am hurt.
I am in fact hurt.
Does anyone else have any other memories?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a point in the season where Salim gets invited to an adults only kind of party.
Yeah.
He really the stuff. I mean, just whatever you end up seeing is not me acting. It's me taking everything in because it's new for Omid too. So
I thought it was disgusting, that scene. I absolutely talk about 120 days of Sodom. I mean, I've never seen such
It is, yeah. I will for the rest of my life.
I'm
never
easily
forget
disgusted.
those
You know that.
2 days.
Disgraceful. I mean,
So no acting required. That
none. I
episode.
mean, just yeah. I just was taking everything in as a human being because I've never seen stuff like that before.
This
I
season,
remember going to a nightclub in Paris in '74, which was
It kind of like that, yeah.
this season was the first time that I got to. I don't know if this is a spoiler. I think it's too vague to be a spoiler. It was the first time I got to work really with Peter Stormare, and we all got to be. There were a few nights where a bunch of us got to be on set with him, and just the little were we at like a school or a church or something, and we were all sitting in that little room, just like at 2 in the morning when the fire alarm went off. Remember, just like drunk on lack of sleep, and Peter is just the funniest.
He was interviewing everyone.
That's right. Oh yeah, I think I still have that. I think I filmed that on my phone. He was interviewing Damore.
Yeah.
No reason other than to entertain us, but whenever Peter was around, it was kind of, those are a lot of my favorite moments, honestly.
oh yeah,
Because we're just like a bunch
Samare's
of
fantastic. Samare's worth every second you get him on screen. Wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, really. Well, no, he's an interesting, fascinating guy. You know,
Yeah.
directed opera, and he's worked with Ingmar Bergman in the theater. He directed opera in
That was
Tokyo.
delightful.
Don't know how the hell he did that. Do you?
Well, we only have time for one more question, and then we have a surprise for people watching. This one is from @thoroughlyme, who asks, without spoiling anything, what are the cast most excited for fans to see this season? But don't spoil it.
Season 4 green light.
Oh,
Not what you're
Yeah.
most excited to see, Ricky.
Sorry, that was my inside voice. Sorry.
No,
Episode
it's what
5.
what fans are most excited to see.
what you think fans?
Are most excited to see.
Yeah. Oh no, what are you
Oh,
most
we're
excited
excited
for
for
fans to see?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
it's not us. What we think we're most excited about fans seeing.
Yes. So Ricky said episode 5.
Very Ocean's 11. A lot of fun. Isn't that right, Ash?
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Killer Blonde.
For me, it's going back to that last scene I was telling you about. I'm excited for people to see that.
Cool.
I'm just excited.
For all of it.
It's got to be
But it's coming
lakeside,
out.
doesn't it?
It's
Like,
coming
that's
out.
what-
I mean, it's out of your hands. Just enjoy it. Have a good time. Go with that's the way it rolls, whatever.
Yeah.
It's too late to change it now. I think the post-production did a phenomenal job on all the bits and bobs. It's very important in the show. You can't say that enough, how important that the special effects are, that they work. And I think afterwards and what they did, I think they did a fantastic job with it. And it sounds pretty good. We
I
speak
think the
to-
music's incredible this season. It's very different, the musical choice.
Yeah, no, it's very, they've all
Loved
been,
it.
which is like, what it's about. What's horse
If you
race?
don't Shazam all the way through the episodes, I'll be very disappointed in this audience. I've already done it 4 times.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot to look forward to about this season. Before we wrap up and show you an exclusive clip from next episode 2, I wanted to say that the director of 309 is Metin Hussein. That's his full name.
Metin Hussein, yeah.
Yes. And I wanted to thank all of you for being with me here today. This has been, it's nice to have something special to look forward to, and this is definitely qualified. So thank you. And thank you to the 92nd Street Y for hosting. They have a lot of really great events.
No, they're great. 92nd Street Y. It's terrific. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being there. No, I'm sad we couldn't do it live. It would have been
Yeah, maybe next time after that season 4 green light. Well, thank you to all of you, and stick around to see that clip from next week's episode.
My dearest Shadow, we must speak of your head and your heart. Please attend. Urgently, Зоря полуночная. Also, don't forget to bring the coin.
For heaven's sake, Mike, get in the car before you get hypothermia. In weather like this, you're out there for 5 minutes with improper attire and, well, the only ride you're gonna need is to the coroner's in Eau Claire.
I was walking into town to buy a jacket.
It's a good thing you're pretty.